welcome to our Golden 20s podcast. My name is Teagan, and I am not joined by my co-host Sadie this week. Sadie is visiting her sisters in Quebec, so I am taking over for this week. And I decided, much like the last time that I took over the podcast, to do a little interview style. So the last episode I interviewed my mom and my grandma, and we all sort of answered the same questions about your 20s. But this time I thought it would be fun to interview some of the men in my life. So I sat down with my husband Tyrell and with my brother Duncan and asked some of the questions that you submitted to our Instagram. And we got some pretty interesting answers. We also, tried to focus on some different things. Obviously, my husband's been in a relationship with me for the past 10 years, whereas my brother's single. So that brought some interesting perspectives to the mix as well. So sit back, relax, and take a listen to the male perspective. I have a very special guest. His name has been mentioned many times in the podcast. It's Tyrell, who's my husband.
Hello. Looking forward to this.
Oh my God. Okay. Yeah, we've never recorded a podcast together, I don't think.
No, but I have my own podcast, so
yes,
it's not unorthodox. It does kind of feel a little weird recording with you, though.
Yeah, it's weird to be talking to you while also speaking into a mic. So yes, as Tyrell mentioned, he has a podcast called The Band of History, which is apparently a big deal. So I've heard it tops the charts.
Okay, just to be clear, it's not that I say it's a big deal.
It's literally all he talks about.
Yeah, it's my identity.
So it is quite the honor and privilege that a podcaster of that caliber would bless us here at our Golden 20s for this week.
Talking to you about 70s music history, I'm assuming your guests are super interested in that.
No, they don't want to hear about that.
Sarcasm.
So as you probably saw if you follow us on Instagram, we put out a call for questions of things that you always wanted to ask men. And Tyrell is a man.
I guess I am.
You are a cisgendered, heterosexual man.
Yeah.
And so the prime sort of target to ask these questions. A lot of the questions that people asked were dating related, which makes sense. But there are some other little wild cards thrown in there.
Oh, great.
So I guess we can just dive right in with questions unless there's any other introduction you'd like to give yourself. What are your qualifications to speak for all men?
I don't know if I have qualifications to speak for all men. I just think I'm a decently well-adjusted male, compared to what I see out there.
You just made me think of like 5 more questions I'm going to ask.
Okay. I'm ready. Yeah, I can't speak for all men, but like, I don't know. I'm just doing my best out here.
Love it. Love it. I am curious of people who have heard so many stories about Tyrell on the podcast, if your voice sounds different than they expected. I don't know.
We'll see.
That's interesting to me. Anyway, so we can dive in with some of these Instagram questions. The first one we got was, what should a girl wear on a first date to impress?
To impress. For me, it's really nothing, honestly, outside the ordinary. For me, I think what somebody should wear to their first date is something that they're actually comfortable in wearing, not only to that date, but in everyday life, because that individual, you probably want to have a few dates with them and they're going to get to know you. And I don't think you want to go too showy or too outside of what you typically wear. I think it's impressive just to be yourself and to wear what you want to wear. I can only speak for myself, but like, I'm not necessarily concerned about what somebody's wearing to the first date. Obviously, sweats and a t-shirt might not be the best, but maybe it is. It depends on what you're doing. But, present yourself how you like to be presented on a day-to-day basis. I think that's more important about being yourself versus trying to be anything that you're not.
Interesting. I hope all the people listening were writing that down.
Men likewise. Men probably need a little bit more help in that department. But again, wear something that you would wear every day. So if you wear like, black jeans and like a band tee, and it makes sense in that setting on that day, wear that if that's what you wear. I think it's more normal just to be yourself.
Yeah, that's somewhat aligned with the advice that Sadie and I give. We've had a few dating episodes and we've gone over like what to wear on a first date, and something we always say is wear something that makes you confident and comfortable.
Yeah, confidence is a good one too, right? I can just speak for myself. I know what I like to wear to make myself feel more confident. So that's a good point that you and Sadie made too. Be confident, be comfortable. And I think that will then also kind of come out in your attitude.
So the second guest we have on the podcast is actually my brother, whose name is Duncan, and he works at a brewery. Is that correct? It's
Hell
not
yeah.
like a beer factory or something.
That's what a brewery is.
Oh, okay.
Beer factory.
I did not know that was the same thing. And he's in a band. And compared to Tyrell, he is single.
And I have been for a very long time.
So we're having the two different perspectives, especially on some of the dating questions we got submitted. So the first question is, what should a girl wear on a first date?
I think a girl on the first date should wear something pretty casual, not super overdressy. Depends where you're going. I like to do first dates. Usually I like to pick out like a coffee date. You can do something pretty casual. Just go for a walk, grab a coffee, whatever. Or you can go to like a movie. Dinner I like to leave for a couple dates later. Then you can get a little more dressed up. But yeah, first date, you wear something pretty casual and, just dress your personality, how you feel comfortable.
Love it. Okay. Duncan, who's your celebrity crush?
Oh boy, Rihanna. I love Rihanna so much.
Interesting. Is it because of the Seth Meyers day drinking video?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
I knew it.
No, I've got the variant of celebrity crushes, but Rihanna's probably number one. She's just so classy, and her fashion is so electric.
What?
She's just so cool.
Did you know I've seen Rihanna?
When?
Back in like
When?
2009 or something.
Where?
Scotiabank Arena, downtown Toronto. It was her tour with the album that had S&M on it. So that was a long time ago.
Wait, you saw her?
Yes, this is what I'm telling you.
Oh, you saw her in the concert.
Yes.
I thought you meant like you hung out with her.
Yeah, I hung out with Rihanna like 15 years ago and have not brought it up.
I got really mad there for a second. My face was getting red.
Oh my God. Okay. Who's your celebrity crush?
Jake Gyllenhaal.
Oh my God.
That's probably going to offend a lot of people out there, but I like Jake Gyllenhaal a lot.
Okay. Wow. The whiplash with that answer into this question.
Okay.
What is your favorite Taylor Swift song?
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's loaded, eh? To be honest, I can't think of many titles of Taylor Swift songs.
Oh
I'm not
my
a
God.
Taylor Swift fan. Actually, yeah, I'll just leave it at that. What's that one,
my
the
God.
teardrops on the guitar?
Yeah, Teardrops on My Guitar.
That one, because it sounds similar to Well, My Guitar Gently Weeps by the Beatles. So
Does it?
it's similar type of song
Because
title.
Yeah, okay.
Actually, I think it's a decent song too. Early Taylor's probably more my vibe than current Taylor or any other era of Taylor.
She has a lot of eras.
Yeah.
So, Duncan, next question is, what's your favorite Taylor Swift song?
Fuck. This is a hard one to answer
Oh my
because
God.
there's ones that are like All Too Well 10-minute version is number one.
Okay.
Just circled like that's number one.
Okay.
But there's other songs like Better Than Revenge. I Bet You Think About Me.
Mm.
You know, there's a bunch of songs that I love.
You like the angry songs?
I love the angry songs. I don't even mind of the one off of Lover.
Cruel Summer?
No, the hit.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
You don't like Me?
I don't think anyone likes
Never
that.
me.
Wow. Well, we're learning so much about the male psyche.
No, I don't mind Me. It's got Brandon Urie on it.
Oh my God. These are all negative things. Next question is, what stands out to you on someone's dating profile? What would make you swipe right?
So, in full transparency, I never used a dating app in my life. I never would either. If I was dating today, I would never use a dating app. I'll just be honest about it. Just seeing how they work, seeing how friends use them and everything like that, I don't like them. I think it's stupid.
Oh my God.
But what was the question? If I were to use a dating app?
What would make someone stand out? Like, what makes someone stand out on their dating profile, and what would make you swipe right?
Well, some of the things I would look for is, like, first of all, you have to have a pretty clear picture of you.
Mm-hmm.
And that can be doing whatever you want, but like, you know, it's that thing that people always like, the group shots, stay away from those. I want a really good shot of you just to see what you look like, right?
Yeah.
I think you can tell a lot about somebody by just looking at them and how they're portraying themselves in that photo, right? Other things I'd be looking for is, you know, uniqueness in all of the descriptors. You know, all these apps seem to be different.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the apps, I don't know which ones, but I know one of them has like prompts.
Mm-hmm.
I think be, you know, unique in your prompts. I don't need you to be like a smart ass in the prompts, but I need some to gain some insight into who you are that makes you unique. Because, like, let's be honest, these apps, you're swiping through hundreds of people.
Mm-hmm.
What makes somebody want to stop on you? Maybe one of the prompts down below. I'm always looking for, if I was looking, I'd be looking for somebody that has similar interests to me too. And that's nothing you can control other than letting your interests be known on the app. Bring some personality to it. Bring some quirkiness to it. I think that's probably a good idea. But again, as my disclaimer stated, I've never used a dating app. So I might not be the best judge of that.
Okay, Duncan. Next question is, what stands out to you on someone's dating profile? What makes you swipe right?
Swipe right is that they have a decent bio. Because if my biggest pet peeve when you're on a dating app is that you go and look at their bio and it says like, I'm not great at these things or something like that.
DM me on Instagram.
Yeah, exactly. It just tags their Instagram or it's like, add me on Snap and I'll talk to you. And it's like, well, I'm on the dating app to talk to you.
Right.
So why would you do that? And so that's my biggest pet peeve. But no, it's good to have pictures. It's good. Well, I'm a musician, so my biggest thing is having what kind of music you like on your profile.
Right.
Right. You know, like all your artists, what kind of songs you like. That's the best thing about it.
Great. Next question is, what are your biggest turn-ons? Turn-ons. He's speechless.
Yeah. Well, there's a few different things, and I also haven't really been asked these questions before. For me, a turn on would be somebody that's confident in their ability to just like hang with people.
Interesting.
In like a group setting. You know, like there's plenty of people that one-on-one like can hang out and stuff like that. But I think a big part of like, you know, for me, it's like, can you hang out with my friends? Can I hang out with your friends? And like everything's normal and we're chill. Can you hang out with the fam?
Right.
Like later on, probably not the fam, like right off the bat. But, you know, can you just be confident in who you are? That's a turn on, I think. Another turn on would be like that you're kind of unabashed about your passions that you like to do. Like I have tons of passions that I deeply care about and I like, and you want a partner that understands what you're into, but then I also respect somebody that has their own independence and has things that they like to do by themselves or with their friends, and that they're super passionate about it. So like whether it's you and your podcast with Sadie, or like, you know, that you like to go and see drag shows or whatever, you know what I mean? Like you have your own hobbies, you have your own interests. That's a turn on for me, because I feel that, like, again, this might be going too deep into it, but strong relationships are built off of the things that you share together, but also the things that you do separately, and your independence. Cause I think that's an important part of like having a healthy relationship. So you got to be able to have different interests than me and go do your things with your friends or by yourself that you like to do. And I don't know, I probably could keep on going, but like those are kind of two different things. So I think ultimately they're both linked to a level of confidence. And I'm not talking confidence like you have confidence at cockiness, no, but confidence in who you are and what you like to do and your independence, and that you're your own singular person. I respect nothing more out of anybody than somebody who is like very uniquely themselves. I might not always jive with that person, but like I respect that they are who they are. And I know where they stand. I don't like people that just follow other people or trends, or are doing something not because they actually like to do it, but because they feel like they need to do it. So that's something that's a turn on for me and like a potential partner.
Great. Love it. So Duncan, next question is biggest turn ons.
Just in general?
Yeah.
Good sense of style.
Interesting.
Not super like full of themselves. Just interested in what you have to say.
Right.
I don't know, just like a person who's interested in having a conversation with you, not a person who's interested in having a conversation about themselves with you.
Right. Next question is, what's the worst thing a girl can do on a date?
Oh my God. I don't know. The worst thing. I think, you know, and this is a two-way street, but being incredibly shy is just not good. Like your first date, you're supposed to like get to know each other, and you don't have to dig that deep on a date, especially a first one. But like your ability to, what do they call it in Britain, like banter? Like you have to have a level of banter, I think, that is really important. And if you're quiet and kind of shy and reserved and aren't, you know, trying to be part of this conversation, and that makes me sweat a little bit.
Right.
So definitely not that. And I don't think there should be any, I don't know. I don't think there should, what I find awkward is I don't think there should be an expectation that your date's going to pay for you.
Right.
You know, I think we're in 2023. I think, to me, the first date, maybe these days, should be a split bill. You can offer, but I think it's always fair to split it. But some people might not like that. But I think it's 2023, and you know, you're your own person, I'm my own person. Let's split the bill, especially on the first one.
Interesting.
You're just saying interesting to everything I say.
Yeah, I don't want to color it with my own female perspective on things.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, Sadie and I do say that what we actually recommend as far as paying on the first date is whoever asks the person out.
It's a good one too.
So if, you know, you're the girl and you ask a boy out for a date, you should offer to pay because you're the one who initiated the date.
Yeah, I think that's actually a really good piece of advice too, because, you know, if you're saying let's go go-karting,
Mm-hmm.
you know, you should be willing to put up for the go-karting. And if you're like, hey, let's go golf, you should be able to put up for the golf. So that's
Right.
actually a good way to do it too. Is if you're the initiator, maybe you maybe pay up.
Yeah. Next question is, what's the worst thing a girl can do on a date?
I think honestly, to be honest, it'd probably be pretty hard to fuck up a date as a
Right.
girl, but
Interesting.
being stuck up
Right.
is the worst thing you could ever do,
Mm-hmm.
because being stuck up, there could be a guy there that's nervous and
Yeah.
wants to really try hard and do whatever, but if you're stuck up and used to these players or
Mm-hmm.
whatever, then you could have a sense that, I don't know, you want to walk away from it or like whatever, but just, you need to at least take 45 minutes of a date and see what happens, because, people get nervous and
Mm-hmm.
the beginning of a date sucks. The
Right.
first 20 minutes of a date sucks. And if you can chill out and just wait it through, because you're both nervous,
Yeah.
and once you get past that point, the date gets a lot more relaxed.
Right. Great. The next question was, what's one non-negotiable you need in a woman?
Yeah.
I wish that you listeners could see Tyrell right now, because he is stressing.
I'm thinking
these
about
answers.
it. Like, these are really hard questions, I think. What's a non-negotiable?
Yeah. I have a feeling you probably have like 25. You just
Yeah,
have to pick
I
one.
know. I'm just trying to pick one that I feel like trumps all others.
Oh.
A non-negotiable. Okay, this is one. It's not the most important, so I backtrack about one that trumps all. But
Okay.
I think what's important for me is somebody who has a good sense of money.
Interesting.
Okay.
Yeah, I can see that.
So, this is me and my own hangups, but like, I'm pretty frugal. I like to save. I like to think about my finances and things like that. Not in like a finance bro-y way, but just like, I like to be safe and I like to responsible and build for the future.
Right.
And I think, again, I think this is something that you have to consider if you're thinking about a long-term relationship with this person, either as a life partner, wife, husband, whatever, however you define it. Having the same sensibilities when it comes to money is so important. And it's not about just the big life decisions, like maybe buying a house or a condo or going and buying a car together. It's like the day-to-day. Those types of things will start to show up in day-to-day. If you're living together, do we buy this rug?
Right.
What are we buying at the grocery store? It can be even frivolous little things like that, but you have to be on the same wavelength. So I think somebody from me who's good at finance can have conversations about money and can kind of come to a consensus on it. That would be one of the non-negotiables for me.
Right. Okay. I think that makes sense. Next question is, what's one non-negotiable? Why can't I say this anymore? Non-negotiable.
Non-negotiable?
What am I? What you need in a woman? You get the idea.
That, like, specifically me?
Yeah.
I like under 5'5".
That's a non-negotiable. What if?
No, it's
Oh.
well, I mean, if you want
I
to
was
say
like, how tall
you
is
were-
Rihanna?
Oh, she's 5'7".
Okay, well, Rihanna's out then.
No, she's not though.
Okay, well, that's what I'm saying.
Okay, so 5'7" down.
Okay.
No, but I just like a girl that's not full of herself. I like a girl who's interested in asking questions and figuring out about your life. She's not too self-absorbed. She, has got a good head under her shoulders. She's got a good career, or she's focusing on getting a good career.
Right.
That's basically it,
Okay. Why don't men tend to ask girls out in person anymore?
Yeah, that's a good question because I would ask somebody out in person, to be honest. But that's because I don't use these apps and stuff, I don't think, right? But to be fair, I think it's changed a little bit, right? I think people are on social media all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Even their friends, they're talking probably more over text message or some sort of message platform more than they are talking to them in person. So I think with younger people these days, it's probably a little bit more comfortable in that. And I think people fear rejection big time. And it's a lot easier to be rejected over text than it is to be in person. That can be really embarrassing. Also, depending on what you mean by recently, I do think COVID had a big effect on people and how they approach things and go about things. And I think some people are still a little bit traumatized by the pandemic and people and interacting in person and are kind of stunted a little bit. So I think that's probably all part of the puzzle, why people don't ask anymore. But like, it also depends on the context, I think, too. On dating apps, like a lot of people are just looking to hook up. They want to do it quickly. They want to just get an answer quickly. They're not going to put the time in to get to know you and then ask you out. They're looking to get to know you a lot faster.
Wow.
Yeah. That's just my opinion, though.
Why don't men tend to ask girls out in person anymore?
Well, I think that over the past 8 years, we've basically been programmed to going to Tinder, going to Bumble, or going to Hinge, especially in the city, to get our dates. But I'm telling you, every time I've been out with a girl or, gone on dates with a woman that I've asked her out in person 100%. Like, I don't find the internet dating too much to work for me, but in person just is 100% better.
Right. Great. And then we have one last question. Why don't men like therapy?
I don't think men like therapy because it's rooted in toxic masculinity. But that's not to say that it's toxic because that's what we're told in society. I think,
Right.
it's 2023, but like people still have plenty of preconceived notions of what it is to be a man. And I think it's detrimental to men, and not enough is talked about that in particular. And like, to be honest, there's a lot of other shit to talk about all the time. There's a lot of other peoples that identify as various different things that need a lot more support than men, especially white men. But I don't think enough is talked about men's mental health, the physical appearance too. I think men deal with a lot, especially with apps. I think everybody deals with a level of scrutiny that nobody's ever dealt with in previous generations. And with therapy, it's just lumped in with all of that thing, all of those things. Talking about your emotions and stuff like that, the content we consume, the people that we know, probably our parents, they don't talk about their emotions. They don't teach you to talk about your emotions and things like that. I think probably everybody could use therapy, even if you think you're well adjusted. But like, that's hypocritical for me to say, because I probably should be going to a therapist because I think everybody should, but I don't.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know. I think it's bred out of this societal kind of expectation of men. But I think people should. I think it's, and I'm hoping that it's changing more and more and being more normalized. But I think mental health and talking to a therapist and even if you don't have a problem per se, but just having a third party to talk through things is incredibly important. Also, it's expensive.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think that it can just simply be marked down as something that men don't want to do. I think there's other barriers that are up. It's not cheap. Some places it's probably not very accessible, and it's hard to talk about too. And I think it's easier if you know somebody that goes to therapy. Like, who should I talk to? Who should I get a referral to?
Right.
It's like, asking a friend, what restaurant should I go to? Oh yeah, here's like 5 different options.
Mm-hmm.
I think that conversation is a lot harder. It's a lot deeper. And then people automatically assume there's something wrong with you, which I don't always think is the case too. So there's a level of kind of like stigma against it that I think men deal with as well as women, as well as anybody. So yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Next question is, why don't men like therapy?
I don't know. It's probably just a stigma in my
Right.
sense. I love therapy. I think it's amazing to talk to someone. The cool part about therapy is that there's someone sitting there that you've basically told your entire life. Like, you don't have to lie to them. And
Right.
they're standing there and they can hear everything about you. And there's no reason to tell them anything but the truth. So for someone to, like, there's no reason to lie to your therapist.
Right.
That's why it's so awesome.
Yeah. You get to be yourself. 100%
Exactly. And
completely.
I remember when I had therapy like 2 years ago, I remember saying to my best friend Connor, I said, it's weird that there's a person that you can be 100% truthful to,
Yeah.
because most of the time you're scraping out somewhat of the truth, but they have no stake in the claim. So
Yeah.
there's a reason that you're 100% truthful to them.
Yeah.
So that's why it's awesome. I don't know. Men don't go to therapy now because obviously the stigma, but
Yeah.
I think they should. I mean, God, why not? Who cares?
Yeah. Love it. I think that was all of the questions we were sent.
Really?
Why? Yeah. What? Were they different than you expected?
Somewhat different. I will say they're really challenging to answer because I think I don't want to be long-winded, and a lot of them have multiple different answers.
Right.
And no, some of them I haven't had to prioritize how I answer them or what is most important to me for a while. So it was a good exercise in trying to like articulate it. I don't know if I did it that well, but yeah. It's also interesting to see what people wanted to ask men, you know?
Is there anything that you're curious about women?
No.
Okay.
Well, maybe, but like I don't know. Nothing that I have any questions about particularly. Like, I was raised by only a woman, pretty much solely surrounded by women, so I feel like I have a decent level of exposure.
Right.
So I think that's a little bit unique for me and people like me versus average people. I was pretty much only surrounded by women. So, and again, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just probably a little bit more unique than normal. Just living with two, like my sister and my grandmother every day. It's just two gals.
All women. All
the time. Yeah.
It's like the Golden Girls.
That's right.
I actually have a question for you. If you were one of the characters in Sex of the City, which of the characters would you be?
Okay,
of
so
the four?
give me. Okay, I'm gonna have to ask some names again. So Samantha's the blonde one. That's Kim Cattrall, right?
Yes.
Sarah Jessica Parker. What's that one?
Carrie.
Carrie. What's the redhead?
Miranda.
And what's the brown, like black? What?
Charlotte.
Charlotte. I'm trying to rack my brain on like some of the defining characteristics of. I have to pick one of those, right? Like not Mr. Big or one of those.
If you chose Mr. Big,
that's just the only other character I
name
I can remember. Maybe I'm a Carrie. I don't know. I don't think I'm well versed enough to know. Honestly, I don't know if I can answer that accurately. Ask me another show I can maybe answer that's not Sex and the City.
I was just curious.
What's the other big show? I know Sex and the City's big with this pod, but is there any other show that's big with this pod?
I don't know. I mean, no, a lot of the things that come up are Sex and the City and Taylor Swift, and they were both in there, so that's
right.
good.
Nothing about Survivor?
No.
Which Survivor player are you? Isn't that one of your big TikToks?
Yeah, one of
reels?
Our Instagram reels was about Survivor, and I still get hate
comments
to this day.
Mm-hmm. That's too bad.
Yeah.
Bunch of Coltons out there giving you hate.
Oh my God. Okay.
No more questions for me? Come on.
No, that's it.
I thought you said you had a few more.
No. That's really it.
I'm ready to answer.
Okay. Goodbye, Tyrell.
All right. Thanks for having me on, and I hope I didn't fail all men.
No.
Or women. I probably failed them too.
Is there anything you want to plug? Did you want to plug your podcast or?
No, I don't know if your audience would like it. If you do like 70s music, you can check out my podcast, The Band of History, like Teagan mentioned. But I don't really have anything in particular worth plugging, especially since I'm distracted by my one cat choking himself out in the background right now. So that's my life on a day-to-day basis.
Okay. Well, okay. Last question, which is one I just made up when I was interviewing Tyrell. Which Sex and the City character are you?
God. I don't know. I don't think I'm Sarah Jessica Parker.
Carrie.
I'm not a Carrie. I don't know. Who's the Canadian one? Kim Cattrall?
Mm-hmm. Samantha.
I'll be Samantha.
That is everything for this week. Hopefully these men's answered your questions to your satisfaction. It's actually quite interesting to hear their perspectives on their whole gender, and obviously, you know, they don't speak for all men, and the male gender is quite vast and diverse, much like the female gender, but it is interesting to hear them talk so candidly about some of these things. So hopefully that answered some of your burning questions. If you missed out on this Q&A, make sure that you follow us on Instagram so you see when we post those stories calling for questions. And we're also on Facebook, Pinterest, TikTok, Spotify, and you can find us under all of those at Our Golden 20s. These episodes drop every Tuesday, so make sure you're following and subscribe to us so you see when we release new episodes. We also have a Patreon page, which is the best way to show your support for the podcast for as little as $2 a month. That's everything for this week. See you next Tuesday.